Welcome to Voices of Women. I'm your host, Kris and I'm also the founder of Women of Wisdom Foundation. I've been doing a radio show, Voices of Women, for over 7 years. And at this time, where we have the coronavirus, I made a decision to interview friends of mine to talk with them about what they are going through during this stay-at-home time. And today I have my friend Mosa Baczewska with me. She is an artist, she's a musician, she's been part of Women of Wisdom for many years, and a good friend. So welcome, Mosa.
Thank you, Kris. It's great to be here.
Yes, so tell us a little more about you and you've had quite a lifespan of living in different places, and now you're residing on an island in the San Juan Island. And so tell us a little bit about your journey.
So I've been an artist and a musician for most of my working life. I've had a few jobs here and there, but mostly I've been self-employed as an artist and a musician. And little plug right from the beginning, I just launched my website, relaunched my website, mosazone.com. And so it's a store and a shop, and it's like a big leap for me in that realm because I haven't been doing shows for the last number of years. I spent 5 years with my parents in Edmonds, outside of Seattle, and saw them both off the planet. It was one of the most important things I think I've done in my whole life. And then I traveled for 5 months looking for where I belong on the planet because I didn't know I'd left everything that I'd been doing before. I left that. I lived in the Ozarks, I lived on the East Coast, and then I came out here. I ended up back here on San Juan Island with a friend who had her house on the market when I visited her, and then she took it off and was renting a room. So I'm like, can I rent a room? Fixing up a room to rent. So I ended up here. I'm in my 5th year now. I feel like I've landed a little piece of paradise. I've been doing some artwork and crafts. I do the holiday fairs, but I got a job at Pelendaba Lavender in the store selling lavender. So for 4 years now, I've been working a job, which is very interesting for someone who's been self-employed for so long, but it's been a huge blessing. Love getting a paycheck. And so March 14th was my last day at that job. And the store closed 2 days later. And it was interesting because on that day, we haven't had hardly any business, right? It's a winter, you figure out you're going to just do a lot of cleaning that day or have a project to do something. That day, 50 people came in the store, and most of them were from Seattle, getting away from the corona craziness. And I'm like, oh, we don't have any symptoms. I'm like, you could be carrying it, right? And they didn't realize that. And so it kind of freaked me out a little bit. I went home and I went to quarantine for 2 weeks, and I'm fine. Nobody was carrying anything. I didn't get anything or whatever. So, but it's been so interesting because I've had a pretty stressful time of one thing after another, for months and months and months. I've been doing a training. I'm becoming a biofield tuning practitioner. That's a whole new area in my life, working with tuning forks to clear people's fields, and exhibit A. And
please do me while we're talking.
I'll give you long distance. I'll do a long distance. Yeah. So anyway, it was one thing after another. So I had said, I just wish everything would stop for a minute. And then it did. So the first few days, I know, exactly. But I was ecstatic the first few days. And then, people tease me and go, oh, it was you that did that. I'm like, no, it wasn't me. But so it's been really interesting to have all my time to myself because this is something I was wishing for. And it's been a seesaw ride though. Some days are, ecstatic, and some days I just feel the weight of the world. Yes. And, so it's been a learning curve for me on a lot of levels, but especially personally and spiritually to figure out, shields up on my empathic side, because I could get completely crushed by it, but to be able to have compassion for what's happening and yet keep myself sovereign is the work that I'm
right. Yeah, it's really important to be centered and grounded. And like you say, it is like a seesaw, and everybody I've talked to is like, we have a good day, we have a bad day, we have a good week, a challenging week, you know, it brings up everything, and it's a perfect time to have this time to ourselves, to reflect, to just go inside,
Yeah.
to look at what you want to go forward from here. And yet we're not used to that. We're used to being very active, go, figure things out, do things, make things happen, and the world said stop. So it's you know, it's been challenging for people, and it's been a gift, and I've seen that in everybody. It's like, you know, in myself too.
Yeah.
I feel good. I
You know,
got
I've known,
one
I've
important thing
known
done
for years,
yesterday.
that it would take something like this
Mhm.
to you know, for the whole world to stop, for us to, because I was like, how are we ever going to change? How is this ever going to happen? And I thought it would be aliens, you know, like unite the world, but then they'd be like shooting at the alien, going to war with the aliens, you know. So like, well,
Yeah, we
that's
don't
not
want
good.
that.
So this is no, this is, I couldn't have even dreamed a pandemic, but this is perfect because it's affecting everybody's sense of life or death, and what is important to them, and what, you know, what matters, and what they want to keep and what they want to leave away. And it's bringing out kindness in everybody. And not everybody, I wish it would bring out kindness in everybody, but it's bringing out kindness and people helping each other out, which is what disasters do. You know, a hurricane happens, you know, everybody's helping each other out. Fires, everybody's helping each other out. And so this is ongoing, where we get to practice helping each other, like on and on and on and on. You know, it's really pretty interesting. Pretty
Yes,
interesting.
and I want to kind of point out, this is kind of a Western point of view. I mean, this is what we're living with. I am in communication with one of our WOW members, Mary Omalo in Kenya, and you know, they have lockdowns and curfews, and the police are arresting people if you aren't wearing a mask, or they're beating you up if you pass curfew. They're going to have starvation. They have locusts, so when the coronavirus is over, they lock down again for a couple weeks or 4 weeks. School doesn't start to June 1st. Once they sort of get over the coronavirus. And they don't have a lot of cases, but because they don't, they're doing these things and have these things in place, lockdown, curfews, which is causing very poor people who make very little money to not be able to buy food. So a huge starvation issue. They've been talking about it. I've been reading
Wow.
articles from World Fund Organization. They expect the starvation levels to double just from the coronavirus. So this is something that we're not so aware of, and we're dealing with our lives here. And yeah, and then they have the locusts are in Africa and Kenya. They're eating the crops, and
Wow.
just heard from Mary that yeah, the government spraying, but it's been creating a harvest for more babies, so more come up, and so
Oh.
they're going to be dealing with a lot. Even
Mm.
though, so we're all going to be dealing with things. We're going to be dealing with it. You know, we talk about it's been a recession. Now they're talking this could be, you know, like the depression. So many people lost their
Mhm.
jobs. So how it's going to impact us is also can be very catastrophic, and it's that unknown. We don't know down the road how much will be impacted, and yet already these poor nations are dealing with a lot, and so it's worldwide, and it's hard to get
Yeah,
out of
and
our own
that's,
selves, you know, to think of to have
yeah,
that compassion elsewhere in the world and to look at what's happening there too.
that's the thing, is that I know the level, there's a huge level of suffering happening. I know that.
Yeah,
I can feel it, you know.
yeah,
And these changes are not without that. And it's like, I don't know how to make suffering go away on the planet. Who does, you know? Except that I do know, what I do know is that we have, as humans on the planet, we have all the resources to take care of everybody. We have it. It's just a matter of like the willingness, and the people who are like grabbing over here and like, take, and won't share. I mean, you know, it comes down to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, kind of thing. But you know, I've known this for years, and living as a full-time peaceist is my, you know, like my greatest heart's desire is peace on earth. And uh, I I see that there's an opportunity now to restructure and to revamp and to renew. And I mean, honestly, we know this, that the the one of the ways that could happen is if women were in charge, you know. And I saw an article on Facebook saying, here's all the countries who are dealing best with the coronavirus, and it's all, the heads are all women, and those are the countries that are doing the best. And so I think there's an opportunity now for women to rise even higher. I mean, women have been rising, rising, rising. This is happening, and now it's really important that we stay strong, and we stay in our power, and we do what we can
Right.
to help, you know.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
looking at helping, like there's local needs, there's national needs, and there's international to help in all fronts. You know,
Hmm.
we can't ignore what's happening in countries in Africa, and help, you know, and also what's happening in our backyard with the homeless and the food shortage here in the food, the distribution of food for uh, the different food services that provide food for families in need. You know, there's been a shortage of food and getting the food to them. And meanwhile, you know, they have to euthanize because they're with the restaurants closed. There's all sorts of products that aren't being used, so they're being dumped. And I think because that's in our awareness now that I've heard, well, people are starting to do something about that because we do have it. Let's make use of those animals, of products, of milk that's being thrown away. Make use of it to the people in need, so it's not thrown away. And hopefully, people will get on that effort, because I think you're right. There is a lot of kindness happening, and people stepping up and in ways of, you know, whether it's just making masks or helping the medical field with needing the PPE equipment and all that people are doing what they can. But there's so many layers of it. There's so many
So
places.
many layers. Yeah.
It's a matter of choosing what's important for you. I made a decision, you know, we got this $1,200 bonus check, and for me it's a bonus check because of retirement income. My income isn't changing. For some people you know, they need that 1,200. I'm putting mine to different uses where it can help, and different levels, you know, whether already sent money to Kenya to buy masks for the kids at school, masks and soap and some food to take home because they're not in school right now, to the families, some beans and maize. And we just sent money to do that, and we'll continue to raise money because they are they live in a very poor rural area, and it will be very difficult for them. They're really crawling out for help and they need to have the mask. They're 45 minutes from a little town where they have to go to shop, and they have to wear a mask. And if you don't have a mask, you can be arrested. I mean, you know, there's
Wow.
so many,
Yeah.
you know, but then even locally, you know, for the food banks and all the different agencies that are working, you know, what are the things that you want to support? And we can't do everything, but we can choose of where we want to help.
Right. Admittedly, I live in a small microcosm of the world here on the island, and there is what I've experienced is there is a generosity of spirit here inherent in living here. I mean, we're on an island. If we get cut off, we got each other, right? So I think that's part of, you know, part of that. And it is a microcosm. We do have all the problems of the world in smaller, you know, smaller portions. We do have 5 cases on the island. That's been stable for a number of weeks now. Everybody is wearing masks and gloves, and well, not everybody, but most people are, and socially isolating. You know, nothing's happening here in terms of groups or meetings or anything like that. I've gathered with a friend at a time or two and walked, because isolation for me is about human contact. And, you know, I'm on a solo flight here and not seeing anybody for days. When I had that social network in a store that satisfied that need, and I could come home for 4 days and be by myself, no problem, you know, but as social beings, we need that. And I need a hug. But
who knows when we'll be able to have a hug?
What's that?
Oh, who knows when we'll be able to have a hug? I mean, they really can't say.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I have been writing songs, and that's been a great outlet for me. And I am a songwriter, and I go through spells, and I think I've written 3 so far since you know, the crisis. And so I figure if it goes on for too long, I'll have a album, Songs of the COVID. You know?
Well, and I was going to invite you to sing one for us. Will you be willing to do that?
I would love to. I would love to sing the most recent one that came off the lips. Just happen to have my guitar right here. Oh, go away. That's my notifications there. So I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and a lot of videos and a lot of, you know, different people talking. And I heard Carolyn Mace. She's been putting out some videos recently, and she talked about, one of them was about transformation. It was all about transformation.
That one, yeah.
And she said the phrase, all life breathes together. And I was compelled by that phrase, and I got to put my glasses on to read this, because I don't have it memorized yet. And this song came through from that phrase. So here we go. We all breathe together. We all breathe together. Whatever I do will affect both me and you. We all breathe together. We all breathe the same air. You and me, flower and tree, animal, bird, sun and sea together. What we focus on will grow. Our visions will expand. Our lives are in our hands. And words we say are power. We create ourselves hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second, and together we co-create in love or hate. Don't hesitate to know this. And there's enough to go around. We'll shine a light on all the greed, with a change of heart to understand. It takes us all to lend a hand, so absolutely everyone gets what they need. And what we focus on will grow. Our visions will expand. Our lives are in our hands. We're all made of the same thing. From galaxy to tiny cell. And every bit of it unique. The universe supplies it all. We are one. It really is a miracle. And if we couldn't know the truth of this, our world might not have come undone. And now we have a chance to start anew, to make it a better place for everyone. Because what we focus on will grow. Our vision will expand. Our lives are in our hands, 'cause what we focus on will grow, our visions will expand, our lives are in our hands, and we all breathe together. Yes, we all breathe together.
Lovely. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Good messages in there. Yes, we'll do breathe together. I was just reading an article of somebody, a man who's studying the trees and the trees sing. They all have their own song, and there's that interconnection with trees, the roots that communicate with each other, and there's so many things in the universe that we also do this, but we're not as aware of it.
We're not nearly as aware.
No,
The trees, the bees, everything has got it above us. The whales, they all got their communication system way better.
Yeah, so this is a time when in getting still and quiet within ourselves, that people may touch in more on what on their intuition and on their gifts that they have.
That's my belief, is that we would have a really fine world, and I'm actually looking forward to the 1,000 years peace that are prophesied, and I'm going to do what I can to work on. I found something called Peace on Earth 2030, a group that wants to bring peace on Earth by 2030. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. But I know that if everyone is in their heart's desire, if everyone was allowed to in this structure, which is we're not allowed to in the structure how it is now, but if we were all allowed to we would be finding out that oh, you have something that I can, and I have something that you, and there would be this like exchange. Barbara Marx Hubbard came up with the beautiful wheel of co-creation, that you put different people all around the wheel, and the nurses are over here and the teachers are here, and and then across the wheel you find out what you have that you need. What do you need? What do you have? And she did this whole experiment with like 200 people or something, and almost everybody's needs got met by just being in this circle. And that's the whole thing too, is for us to not put anybody outside the circle. Everybody has to be in the circle. Anytime we put anybody outside the circle, they're an other, and then we're not one. And then there's the imbalances, and there's where things go awry. So anyway.
Yes, lots of lessons there. And we are human. I mean, part of the thing is we have to forgive ourselves when it doesn't work out, and do our best to try and to make it work. And to know, one is just recognize our own gifts. And the biggest thing is people, that negative voice in your head going, I don't have what's my gift? I don't have a gift.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
Or no one's going to like it. I may know what it is, but no one's going to like it, so I don't dare show the world. And that's where we need to stop and so invite others to share their gift too. To have that generosity of being open to, what do you have to give the world? And that's one reason of me having this radio show. It's all about sharing stories, and that's one thing about Woman of Wisdom, is to share a story, witness everybody. And when we witness our stories, we heal, and we heal from hearing other people's stories just as much as sharing our own.
It's important to share your story.
Very, very important.
It's important for your story to be heard. Yeah, for sure.
It took me 5 years. I went to a women's camp up in Canada, and they would have a story night, and I would listen to these profound stories and these funny stories. And I don't have a story to share, which I couldn't get myself to the place where I thought I had a story to share. And yet I'd go, well, this is kind of ridiculous. I've traveled around the world. I created Women of Wisdom. Here's these things I've done. And yet I could not open myself to think that people would want to hear that story. or how would I tell that story so it'd be as profound as someone else's, that whole comparison thing. And then
Yeah.
the fifth year, I finally dug my heels in and went, okay, I'm going to share my story, you know, and people came up to me and loved hearing it, whatever for that moment that was going on, and sharing. And then the next year they had me start off the storytelling. They always have a story, a seed planted to get it going. And so it was a real lesson for me, like, yeah, I have a valuable story. We all do. And I've found that when I have that nudge, because it took 5 years of, you know, I was hearing the nudge, but I wasn't moving. But now I know if I hear a nudge, my voice going, I should say this, I should say this. And whether I'm with one person or in a small group or a group of people, there's always, it's for somebody. There's always, and if my story reaches one person, it's done its job. And invariably somebody will say, oh, I so needed to hear that. And that's for everybody. It's not that I'm a profound storyteller or that, gee, my story is profound. It's just that my story can resonate with, it doesn't need to resonate with a lot of people. It can resonate with one person, and it's done its job. And so for me to hush my voice and not share the story is actually selfish. I've come to realize that, because I'm not sharing it.
Yeah. I hear you.
That somebody needs to hear so that they can grow.
I experience that with my songs a lot, and I've been posting them on my Facebook page. And actually, this last one, I've been seeing musicians doing. I did a concert, but it was, you know, my connection here is unstable, and people couldn't, you know. I kept going, but the replay's on there. But I don't do it live. I record the songs and then I upload them. But I've been seeing a lot of musicians put their PayPal or Venmo link up, and so I thought, okay, what the heck, I'll put it up. And 2 people sent me money after hearing that song. I'm like, oh, cool. So they were very touched by it. In fact, one of them is a friend from a long time ago, and she started texting me. She said, I'd love to sing that song. She said, I'd love to sing that song with you. So I'm trying to figure out technology, because she's down in California, where we can actually do that and sing that song together.
Yeah, it's hard. I think there's some technology, but it's not in Zoom because of the timing.
No. It's not in Zoom.
Or what some people I've heard, like, you know, we've seen choirs or orchestras.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. I looked into it. Yeah, it's more software than I have.
All recording themselves separately, and then put it all together. So there again, that's a technology thing.
Yeah, it's more software than I have to.
Yes.
On both ends, either recording or putting it together. Yeah.
But it is good. I know we both have listened to Jennifer Berzan, and she was a singer at A Woman of Wisdom before, has done a Monday night concert. And for us to support them, because they're out of work. I mean, you know, they can't do the normal performances, the conferences, the events they do, you know, for them to make an income. So it's a way that people can give to them when they do these concerts. And they're giving these concerts for free. So it's totally a donation of what you feel, you know, if you feel drawn to support them, because the arts are really hurting. I mean, so many areas are hurting, but the arts are hurting too. You know, the actors, singers, and
so many things canceled, and, you know, like tours and plays. I heard a thing about some kids, they're doing their school play. They're doing it on Zoom, and they're gonna, like, they're rehearsing on Zoom, and they're gonna actually figure out how to do the play digitally. And I think it's a Shakespeare play or something. So they've been rehearsing.
It's bringing out a lot of creativity. But I wonder, I mean, I even wonder, I don't know, will we have be able to have a conference? Our conference is always February in Seattle. Will we? We don't know. They talk about fall and winter of, you know, the virus coming back. When we'll really be able to be closer together, because we're in too close proximity. I mean, the importance of Women of Wisdom is being together, and it's very hard to, you know, hard to do it. Everybody has to be 5-6 feet apart, and always. And we are not used to doing it online, and it's not something we do. There are many conferences that do online, but our specialty and what we really have to give is this in-person experience that people grow, and we've been doing it 28 years. So it's not been something that we've done online. It's the value of being together with people. So that will be interesting, because it's unknown. We don't know how long this is going to go on, where we have to be careful. And some people, my husband, I have to be more careful than others, because he has immune suppression. So even when they open the doors, like, okay, you can go out, when we go out will be when we know we feel safe. And I imagine people will still be wearing masks when things get lifted, or if they're talking about a gradual kind of shifting to various things being open, when we'll be open to be together in a conference. You know, I had planned a trip to Kenya we would raise funds to build another building and go to the school in Kenya. It was September, so that's canceled. No idea when international travel will open up and when that will be possible to do that. It could be 2 years away.
Yeah, definitely.
Hard to know.
Big unknown, big, huge unknown, big, huge unknown.
And so we're really forced to sit in this seat of unknown and just be with ourselves. sit in the unknown, and see the gifts in that. I'm still, you know, I've been gardening. I don't have a lot of work to do. I've been getting done what I need to get done, but like I said, I do one thing a day. I feel good, but I have my routine of cooking and various movies and TV shows that I watch, and but I'm active during the day of walking, cooking, and gardening, and getting one or two things done that have, you know, but there's no huge deadline, and so that's kind of nice. But I kind of go, and I think one of the things I first struggled with was motivation, just because there's anxiety and the fears and the collective fear and grief that was going on, and then I'll have a good week where I feel grounded and centered, and then the next week I feel that collective emotions that are going around. Whether it's when you feel
that grief, go out and put your bare feet on the ground and get yourself grounded.
Well, yeah, we just need grounding. Yeah, and garden. That's why I garden every day. I go out and plant a seed.
I rent here, but I actually talked to the land people about moving some fence pieces around, and I've created a garden space that's deer proof, because we get the deer come through all the time, and the neighbors' chickens came through too. And I've been making a garden. I have peas, and then all of a sudden, people have given me raspberries and lettuce and chives and leeks and oregano and carrots and kale. I mean, I got this like boom garden happening. I planted beets. I planted garlic last year on this just one little place, and I had lavender and some herbs in there that the deer wouldn't eat. And so I've got this whole area, and it's right outside my window here. So I can not only see it, but I go out there every day. I spend time barefoot out there, and there's no deer poop or chicken poop around to walk on. And so it's really been a saving grace for sure.
Yeah, that's very healing.
I feel so blessed.
Yeah, it's healing to be gardening. I've had years where I've just needed to have my hands in the soil.
There's a lot of people doing that now. Lots of people.
A lot of people. I've been doing it for the last 3-4 years. I have a good neighbor who's a great gardener. She's make these raised beds, and I had bought a kit, but then I looked at, well, they just went to Home Depot and made these beds, and so Kris, let's do this. So he would copy it and go, so now we have 3 raised beds, and so
I've seen your beds. They're great.
Yeah. And so, but I remember years ago, because I do have some a plot of land, and it's a little harder to grow on that, and I don't have as much sun there. But one year, I remember reading the book Camus. He travels around the world looking for happiness. He ends up in Brazil. I think it's in Brazil, and it ends up back in Turkey. What I remember, I don't remember the whole story, but ends back in Turkey, and he sees a happy, contented person who's a farmer at the market, and he follows him home, and he sees he's gardening, and he's a farmer, and he goes back to his home, the people he lives with, and he just decides he's going to garden. And so that was my mantra that summer, finding happiness through gardening. Yeah, so there's a lot of joy in that. And
definitely.
And just doing it.
Nature is like, I think nature's as close to God as you can get on the planet, Just watching a flower bloom, it's like, whoa, it's miraculous. And it just goes on, and takes care of us. And and I think that's a good movement towards people growing food. It's kind of one of the things that has to happen is, like decentralizing the whole food thing and getting it more local and more independent. Lots of stuff, lots and lots and lots.
Well, it was great talking with you, Mosa. I hope you stay well,
Kris.
San Juan Island. And I just want to point out you're wearing a heather wreath from the heather store.
No, it's lavender. Oh, lavender, not heather. Lavender.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, nice.
Lavender crown. If we have a lavender festival this summer, if we do, it's always the third weekend of July. And it's all free. You come up and lavender's in full bloom. It's a big lavender party for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday of the third weekend of July. And you could make yourself a crown. This one was from 2 years ago. It stays really well.
Yeah, let
So
me say, turn it, show it again, because I have lavender in my yard, so I can make one. But you just
you
take
need a little piece of something that you would be putting it on. This is some kind of I don't really know exactly what it is, but it's wire wrapped with like a paper.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's for wreath making, I think.
Mhm.
And then you need this kind, I don't know if you can see the green, maybe you can't see it, but the green wire that then
Oh,
you do bundles, you do little bundles, and then you wire them on one at a time, the bundles. Make
yeah.
little, like this is a little bundle right here.
Right.
And then,
Okay, I
then
see.
you wire them on around. And you have a loop over here where you can put, something to tie it.
I
And
have
ta-da!
a green metal wreath that was like for a Christmas tree, a Christmas wreath that would work, and I could wrap cloth around to make it softer. And
Yeah,
yeah,
if
it's in my head.
it's a good
Anyways,
fit
and
for
we've
you.
given people a lesson on how to make a crown.
How to make your own lavender crown, yeah.
Other flowers, or it's just
Yeah,
lavender.
you can put all kinds of things in it.
The
Yeah,
what?
definitely. This dries really nicely, so
Yeah,
that's one of its benefits.
Yeah.
It smells good. It still smells good 2 years later.
Right,
So.
right. Okay, well, have a great day, and
Thanks, Chris. This has been fun.